Len contemplates for 6 minutes on the nature of chicken.
Did that actually go live?
Yep,
Yep,
looks
we're
like
live.
we did.
Yeah, we're live.
It looks
we,
like
we
it.
went live with discussions of contemplating chicken. So
Hey, GM, we're live.
yeah, thanks. I got that. Okay.
I love
So we are. Everybody has returned very recently from the actual the area under the sewers with Cernith objects. Runa has been persuaded to maybe hold off on immediately diving through the portal and getting some supplies and things that might be necessary to make a successful trip into another world. And for her part, Rosa has left to have some time to herself to think about the Queen Mab and the offer and everything that she learned at the end in regard to the Fae and what her choices might look like and what those things might be. Because on the one side, the Untangled are definitely a bad bit of news, but the Fae are not exactly anybody's besties either. So, the Odin does address Bruna and says that he'll meet her on the morrow, but as they're leaving and heading away, it's actually Len that he follows.
Can I help you, one-eyed gentleman?
He kind of he bows his head, and he says, "I think you and I have some things to discuss."
I'm gonna have to take your word for that because I don't know who you are and I have no idea how you could be connected to me in any way.
Let's say one doom herald to another.
God damn it. I knew it. I knew it. Couldn't go more than a couple days without doom. All right, well, shall we grab a drink and discuss doom?
Both would. Well, one is preferable. The other is a necessity.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So, Len's actually gonna just stop and just pretty much grab a barrel of something and some mugs and then go back to his place because discussing doom out in the open just never seems to go well either. And he'll, set the barrel out, tap the keg, fill some steins, set them on his little dining room table, take a seat, gesture to the other one, and just be like, all right, so how is the world ending now?
I don't have any idea about that. He says, what I know is that I see visions of my own from time to time, and you figured into one.
Oh. Still not great, but at least it's not a direct end of the world. That's God. There's what 3, 4 of those now.
I don't know about all of that.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
I know that I have spent centuries with a face floating in the minds of my many selves. It says, and tonight I've seen it for the first time, and now that puts me in an unusual place.
Do you think that means this you is going to die soon then? Like, is it a fate you avoid, or do you, if you see enough of it, you just realize, oh shit, I'm dead. I'm gonna have to do this all over again.
I don't know if it simply means I've finally arrived at a point in time that I've needed, or if this is the last life that I will lead, or if it's just the beginning of a new chapter.
All right, so what does this vision with my face entail?
He kind of says, "Do you have some papers? Something I can?"
Yeah, definitely. He goes and grabs some paper and a bottle of ink and some quills and Sets them down on the table. It's like, I've got artist friends. People draw me from time to time. I always got paper around.
He says, I was never an artist. He says, but other lives that I've lived have been.
Hmm.
So
That sounds way more
and
confusing than my life, and that actually brings me a little bit of solace. I'm not going to lie.
he kind of like he cracks his knuckles and he kind of like he says, so apologies to my own ancestors, and he starts to draw. Like you, it's strange to watch the man literally like learn to draw in front of you, but like what looks like decades of experience kicking in as he gets like a little bit more comfortable with it. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like this hand does not know how to draw, but his mind does, and
It,
his experiences do, and they eventually sort of overcome the inexperience of like a trained bodily reflex.
in my head, it's that meme of the like badly drawn front half of a horse with like the perfectly drawn back half.
100%.
You're
That's
just
exactly what I was thinking.
It's sort of like okay, you know how like Bob Ross is like, oh, there's no mistakes. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's like everything that starts out looking like a mistake when he's first drawing becomes corrected into like suddenly like a squiggle of an eyebrow that is like 100% exactly how that eyebrow should have been. Does
huh.
that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Um, but at the same time, it doesn't look planned. It looks like fixed as
Hmm.
he's learned how to fix it as he goes. An image that he draws is Koche. Um, and the image that he draws is Koche like paired against a wolf. And on the opposite side of it, it's sort of like a triangle of like the three of you are in a, like a conflict with one another, as he draws in Len himself as like the last sort of image of it. Does that make sense? Len with his
Yeah.
spear, Koche with like a blade sort of hidden alongside his arm, but like the way he's drawn Koche is so that you're looking at Koche from the back and seeing him in profile so that you can see the blade, and the wolf itself is the third part of it.
It's like, yeah, well, this makes total sense to me. Runa trusts you, so I'm going to trust you a little bit here. Um, Obviously, that's me. That's Koche. He works kind of for and against Matrushka, effectively a
I
demigod.
I've crossed paths with him before.
Okay. And the
He cut
wolf
down one of my lives.
sounds like him. I mean, you can't really ever permanently kill or end him, or apparently you. So that's the
Um,
thing.
He's I'm certain that I can be permanently ended.
Oh, okay. Well, let's avoid that. This here, though, the wolf, I'm at least assuming is the current fake uh, Gaius of Asura. He
He
is dyed
he
his
shakes
hair
his
and
head.
no.
He says, "The wolf is Wolf. The wolf that came before all other wolves. The wolf that first served Matushka in days past."
Well, shit, this doesn't make any sense then.
He says, "The wolf turned against her from the first days and bided his time in patience. And the Gaius who now serves that wolf is but his proxy."
Can do him again. So demi wolf god, and good old
Spirit.
Len with a pointy stick.
He says, "A pointy stick in the favor of Matushka."
I suppose so. And as much as Matrushka favors anyone for any length of time.
Um,
So do you know how this all connects then? Or is it just you have
I,
foreseen that there will be this conflict?
I get snippets of the future. Says, "I see some things that are bound to come to pass, but don't know why or when."
That sounds kind of maddening.
Yeah.
And somehow, obviously, you're involved in this, or you wouldn't be seeing the vision.
He says, I have seen two fates, one in which I go into the mirror. He says, and there are possibilities after. He says, and another in which I do not go into the mirror, and there are no more possibilities.
So effectively, you need to go into the mirror.
That was the conclusion I came to.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. What mirror? Are you talking about the portal?
Says the sea beyond is called the Mirror Sea.
Oh, okay. Which is one of the places that can be reached by that portal, apparently.
I think if the theories were correct from last night, it is the only place that can be reached by that portal. And that place, in and of itself, offers other destinations.
Oh, okay. Yep. Nope. I'm back with you now. It's been a long day. So we're going into the mirror, and somehow that is going to either bring about or most likely lead to that three-way standoff or battle.
Says that will come at some point. Says I don't know if it will be the immediate result. He says, or if this is at the end of your story. Says I also don't know if you survive it.
Yeah, that's fair. But honestly, in this place, making it a couple days sometimes seems like a major victory, given everything. So yeah, I'm gonna have to talk about this with the council, and that'll just be one more thing. Is that all you got out of it? Just that vision and like the two branching paths?
He says I have those two branching paths. I don't have a branch for what happens after this with you. He says I've never seen an after in any way, but that doesn't mean there isn't one.
Hmm.
He says, but the thing that I do have, he says, is the weight of my experiences with both of these two figures. He says, because in my past I have encountered both.
Oh. I'm assuming the wolf killed you at least once?
His proxy is yes.
Proxy. So the wolf doesn't generally take the field himself?
I don't believe so. My understanding of your magic is somewhat limited. He says, but I understand that there are certain spirits that have pledged themselves to the Naiases and the Naiases alone. Naias being like the equivalent of like the Iron Princes of Russia.
Yeah.
Of Usera, sorry. It says each Naias has its own unique animal, which has served it since the days of Matushka itself. The phoenix, the dragon,
And the wolf has pretty much immediately became and immediately said, screw this noise. I'm doing my own thing. That sounds about right.
It says, if I can explain myself, it says, my name is Gaving Ashbourne. I was not born Odin. I was a petty thief in Kirk, the capital of the Vendel lands, and as mean and self-interested a man as ever you'll meet. He says, I was a thief, he says, because I never had the wits nor wisdom to rise above that. He says, and I say both because there were opportunities to make better of myself, and I did not have the wisdom to seize them.
Well, Most people seem to miss opportunities, but sounds like you stumbled right past them. At least
He
until
says,
you got better.
I didn't precisely get better. He says, I crossed the wrong guards. They chased me out of town. I ran until I stumbled and fell and ended up underneath a cave in a place where I could see the roots of a tree reaching down into a well, and I could hear 1,000 voices calling to me, compelling me and commanding me until I carved my own eye free of my face, threw it into the well, and once I had the memory of every Odin who had come before.
Huh. Yeah, no, that's not better. And he's gonna top up the tankards.
He says, I spent 2-3 years roaming. Says, adjusting to my newfound mental companions. It says, and seeing what the first Odin saw, he says, at the end of that journey, he says, at the end of his own visions, the first Odin saw your runa. He says, and we spoke for a time.
Is Runa like a serial reincarnator too, and we just don't know? How does that work? Because
Says, we saw far into the future, and there she was.
and you talk to her in the future.
He nods. It was
You know,
it was a very confused conversation.
yeah, I would
But-
imagine so. I was just gonna say I've seen some very strange and inexplicable things in my time just in this city, and that one's honestly one of the harder ones to really parse to swallow.
He says, but now, he says, you have to understand, he says, there have been 100 Odins before me. Maybe not that many. I have not been counting. He says, but each of them, he says, in process of coming to grips with being Odin, he says, has seen Runa. And her face is what cuts through the madness.
You know, that's both sweet and creepy at the same time.
Believe me, he says, in being face to face with and meeting her, he says, I feel the feelings, he says, 100 Odins felt for her as a figure of dream. He says, a thing to be quested for. He says, and I also fully understand she is just a person. He says, and a Scaregin, he says, and not some mythical thing. He says, and yet, he says, there are 100 Odin, he says, would like to fall to a knee, he says, and ask for her hand.
Damn.
Well, that's first off, she's seeing a couple people, honestly, at this point. Just so you want to keep that in mind.
I don't believe my expectations could be more unfairly raised already.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So I have been braced for a dose of reality.
And and to keep in mind, Fodder Posen might show up looking for like a booty call with her too. So you don't want that to be the cause of Odin 101. I'm not saying that you don't have good taste, obviously, but I'm just kind of warning you of the lay of the land.
I understand. I have a fool's luck.
Well, you never know how things can turn around in this city. I hate this place sometimes. But all right, so is there any special path with her too? Like, where does she figure it all into all of this other than to be that face in the
The only-
clouds that somehow brings you back to yourself?
The only vision I've ever had of her is greeting me as I rise over the edge of a mountaintop.
I don't think I've ever seen her climb anything except up to a crow's nest. I don't.
Believe me, it is not an easy climb.
So,
He says,
So-
but let me tell you of the Odins, he says, who have encountered the wolf and the man.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's gonna be important.
he says, Vendel has fought with Missouri many times in its history. Each and every time that it has done so, there has been a representative of the same family who has come to try to parley with the Vestin in secret. Has tried to make pacts with the High Kings or with Jarls, to the detriment of all Usura. He says if it will place him in the position of Nias, I don't believe you need my prompting to tell you which family it has always been.
I do not.
Ever they have worn the same wolf skin. He says, and I mean the same wolf skin, the same wolf, every detail of it identical. Whenever they transform into it, we can know it by the scars we've given it.
That's handy to know, and also tells me if we ever get Kathrinia back on the throne, we need to tear that family out root and branch.
He nods. He says they will stop at nothing until Matushka is slain. And they have made progress in discovering means to weaken her. And that progress has been provided by Koshe.
Gotta talk to Mom again. It's always so confusing to talk to a god.
There are perhaps half a dozen secret societies across the some fight for good reasons, some for poor. One that we know of fights for control and control alone. It wants to rule all of Thea in secret.
Is it the one with the bug people? Because I really hate them.
He says, the one with the bug people. He says the one that fights against the strangers.
The Cernith?
The Cernith are not a secret society. It's at least as I'm describing. He says these are just organizations of men who work together.
Yeah, no, it's a whole deeper thing, but we'll probably have to talk to the council to see how much of that we're going to divulge.
I'm not seeking to have you divulge anything to me. He says, what I'm telling you is that one of these organizations, since the time of the senators and their pact with beings beyond them, says there's an organization that has sought to control, it has sought to use sorcery as well as politics and every other tool at its disposal to change the state of the world. Koshe has been embedded in that group since its inception.
You know, I can't say that I'm even slightly surprised by that. I know Matrushka says he has a purpose, but it's starting to feel more like you've harboring a tapeworm just in case you need it later. I'm not seeing the benefit here.
I admit, says, I don't understand it either. He says, the only parallel I can think of is one who keeps a snake because they know they will need its venom for an antidote.
That's probably a better description than mine. Although I think tapeworm is far more accurate. That slimy piece of
I understand the metaphor, says, and
Yep.
personally, I find snakes to be respectable.
Absolutely. All right, so there's that, and likely somehow all of us going through the mirror, because that's what's going to happen. I'm at this point, I'm absolutely certain I'm not going to leave Runa to um, try to wander into, you know, basically Viking heaven to uh, get her mom all alone. Plus, we should probably try and figure out how and why Ruin escaped. If we can, and maybe if we can figure out a way to put him back.
Says, my instinct tells me, says, that what allowed Ruin to escape was Ruin being Ruin.
Yeah, but
When
that's
one is
fair.
the I am not a Scaregin. He kind of, pulls down his like shirt to show that he has like none of the marks, none of the scars and stuff like that. He says, but I am High King of the Vestin. He says, so I am well familiar with the runes and each of their stories. He says, what I can tell you is that each embraced a primal part of reality, a raw aspect of its existence. And says, and became it, modeled it, became interchangeable with who they were. It says, and Ruin is entropy, he is decay, he cannot cease to be.
Is there a create? Pardon me. Is there a creation rune like his opposite? It seems like there would be some sort of balancing force.
It says, of all the runes who I've ever spoken to, he says, Hergé is one of them. I have spoken to him.
Uh,
He says, all of them, only one has resisted madness. He says, and that is wisdom, and I have not seen him in centuries.
yeah, you wouldn't find him very much around here, would you?
I meant it literally, but I understand the metaphor.
So there isn't actually like a creation or life rune that isn't apparently batshit insane.
It says there is a rune that there is a rune that many would take to be creation. He says, but it is as compelled to create as ruin is to destroy.
Yeah.
And that's no more sane making.
No, but if we lock them in a room together,
There's no balance like you're thinking. One does not cancel the other out.
of course. Why would it? Why would there be something as sensical as balancing forces? That's just. I need another fucking drink.
You seem to have made sure to equip yourself with enough.
Yeah, I did.
And he actually is the one that refills the drinks for
Okay.
Len this time.
So I'm gonna have to, in some way, shape, or form, face off against Koshé and the first wolf, both of which who seem to be in some way, shape, or form looking to weaken or destroy the nature itself.
To both, Matushka is not nature itself. Matushka is an entity.
Yeah, and she's that to me too, but I know what she's deeply entwined with. To slay her is doomed for the world in more ways than you probably know, and I have no doubt you know more than I do.
Some days I think I do, and some days I see my own folly.
Yeah.
And I see the folly of all the Odins which have come before, which tells me with great certainty I will make mistakes too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you didn't, you wouldn't actually be human.
And that's a reassuring thought, and also not quite the reassurance you'd think.
Well, I'm really low on high end reassurance right now.
It comes with the doom heralding, I think.
Yeah, yeah. But I can say for certainty, if they succeed, the Cernith come back at the very least.
And I don't know what becomes of humanity if that's the case.
Yeah. Plus the Fae. The Fae are going to be able to roam uncorralled once more. They don't really care for humanity all that much either, except as playthings.
But they care even less for the other races that came before them.
That's fair. So there might be a great big war that wipes humanity out just incidentally instead of one of the races doing it on purpose.
He kind of reaches over and squeezes his shoulder. He says, you might have to look to be a little less Surin if you want to find a course through things.
Look, I have only been out of the Sur for like a year, maybe a year and a half.
He smiles. He says, this I can say, he says, from the lives that I have led, is that there is always hope.
And there is. I might be having a kid. I'm just so you know, I'm not giving up. It's just, it feels like every time I sneeze, I trip over a new way that the world could potentially be doomed. And it's cold season. So I'm probably gonna drink and be mildly angsty about it all for the rest of the evening. And then tomorrow I'm gonna get up and in my boneheaded way determine that I'm going to make it all better somehow. And then some of the council are going to slap me upside the head to keep me from trying to do it alone. Because that's really one of the biggest things we do for each other. Is, I'm going into the sewers alone. No, you're not.
Speaking as someone who has walked a long time in a path by themselves, that probably means more than you will ever realize in this life.
Well, the thing is, this is my family. These people, for all that we fight, and for all that, you know, Honorine doesn't think I'm good enough for her sister, and Gav and I constantly kind of do this little subtle manly dick measuring thing, and everything that we've got going on. I would kill and die for these people. But I don't tell them that. They don't need to know. But they, more than, the vague idea of a city or even the idea of a country as a whole are what keeps me going and what give me the most hope. And I've had too many of these already. I'm starting to get in that I love you man kind of drunk. I can feel it.
He kind of smiles and says, perhaps I should steer you towards a bed, since I think tomorrow will be a long day.
That's fine, but if you're looking for that, I'm not the council member to hit up. Oh, you mean just
I'm looking to see you safely to a bed.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no, that's good. You can crash in the guest room if you don't have a better place to stay, and help yourself to food or the remainder of the drink.
Says, I don't think I'll be sleeping just yet.
Okay, well, if you step outside and a kindly older woman with kind of rosy cheeks and a bright smile comes your way, run, because she will immediately try to find you at least 3 wives.
I look forward to her attempts.
All right, Gertrude is a gem, but I'm gonna lay down now. Maybe Mom will talk to me.
And there is no conversation with Mom that night. There's
of course not. Why would there be?
A nice inebriated sleep.
Yeah.
I am not talking with my drunk child this evening.
And that's where I'm going to drop the curtain on our cold open. So let me just jump straight into our opening. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of 7th Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometime, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Len.
Hi, folks. It's me, Bat Kyle. You found me. You can normally find me on Sundays here playing Len, somehow both the Rizzler and the Herald of Doom, Costin. You can find me on our Discord, which is a wonderful place full of wonderful people who put up with a lot of my shit, including all of the unhinged food memes I like to post. Otherwise, you can generally find me in the chats of the other wonderful games that we have going on here just about every day of the week, doing my best to break the cast and make serious moments full of laughter when they probably shouldn't have any. And that's really about it for me. So let's go over to Bison.
That's me. Hi. I am Bison_Stonefist. I'm a regular on this channel, which is a fancy way of saying I have no life. I am here 4 nights a week. Tonight I'm playing Gav the Grin, our big lovable dude who is the only person in this game about swashbuckling who does not use a weapon. And that's half the fun. On Tuesdays, I am the poor bastard responsible for our Cyberpunk Red game. That is a roller coaster with greased wheels. We are sitting on the finale, and we will try to get it to you before the end of the year. Now that I've said that, it probably won't be till March, but that's how life works. I'm just, covering my bases here. On Thursdays, I play Garrett Sakes on our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. That's a fun game full of drama and stress and college students that really act a little bit more like high schoolers. But, we're doing our best trying to survive this absolute madness of a plot that Sarah's got us in. It's so much fun, by the way. Definitely give that a shot on Thursdays. On Saturdays, when we're all healthy and able, I am part of our Iron Sworn Starforged campaign, Starsworn. Trust me, that's taken me a while to get down right. I get tripped up on it all the time. It's 4 players, 4 GMs. We're all the same people, and none of us know where the plot's going, which is actually kind of half the fun. On it, I play our Ursat's captain, Calvin Scooter Hobbs, lovingly referred to as Big Scoots. Gotta love him. That's a really fun game. Starforged is the most unique system I've ever played. It's great for a player. It's great for a GM. The way we're doing it is the co-op mode. Because you can play it without a GM if that's how you want to do it. But we're all playing together. It's a lot of fun, and I'm going to throw it to Hans.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rory. I am here tonight, this wonderful Sunday evening, playing so many nicknames. Too many to pick from, so I'm not going to. Everyone's favorite soldier boy,
You!
Hans Reifenstahl. You can also find me here on the wonderful Dirty 20 Gaming Twitch channel on an assortment of Wednesdays in the near future, playing Graviton, Daddy Issues Incarnate, on the Scarred Adventurers, Masks, a New Generation campaign, Oracle Force. Outside of that, I work. I want to do a bunch of stuff, but I don't have time. So who knows when there'll be cool things to announce, but there might be eventually. How about, for the sake of convenience, Runa goes next.
Ah, you found me. I am here on Tuesdays as Exit. Hopefully, you guys can catch us for the DLC soon. I am also here every other Wednesday as Truck. Thursdays as Nora, Too Many Guys in My Head, Avalon. And today, Sunday, as Runa.
Too many
Mom?
guys in my bed.
And she slept with none of them, to be fair. She's mostly just flirted with them. Ingvild's daughter, and that's about all from me. I'm gonna pass it on over to Honorine.
Hello, everybody. I'm Blaze of Gloriosa, also known as Glory mostly. I'm in the Discord way too much. I'm in every channel all the time. And I like to be here on Sundays. I'm also here on Wednesdays producing. I'm here on Thursdays producing. I would be here every day producing if I could, honestly, because I really like it. I stream on my own channel. I haven't done much streaming in the last month, but hopefully with the new year coming up, I'll be able to do that and catch up with that a little bit. Tonight I'm here as our resident noblewoman, Honorine, who has spent more time in the sewers than Gav, is what we figured out on Thursday. At least post Ratcatcher. Like, nobody can beat him during Ratcatcher times, but like post Ratcatcher, it's weird. I don't know what she's gonna do. She doesn't have her big sister to look out for, so she might actually get some shit done. Might go see a Torre. Who knows? She'll be around. She'll be here. Siosa, what are you up to? You introduce you.
I am Siosa, and I'm here on Sundays running Shadow of the Wachtturm. And beyond that, much like Rory, I work. So I'm also not really on any social media. Found myself to be allergic to it, and so the healthiest thing to do is just stay off of it. If you want to find me on the Discord. So let's do the thing. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of three ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, tobacco best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight properly girded with a letter, the most seductive of the three, and thus the most powerful. In this case tonight, the letter is not literal. It is letter in the sense of a word or rune, which is how we're going to cut over to Runa, because she's got a finite amount of magic and a lot on her mind, I'm sure, right now, given that everything that is available. And I'd like to know what she's doing with her magic, which is something that she's got like a timestamp on. She can use so many times in a day, and I imagine today she's keen to use whatever she can before she rests.
She I think she's gonna try to contact Gris again now that she's not in the place that fucks with her runes.
Absolutely. Go ahead and make.
I guess I should roll for that, hey?
Yes.
$32.
All right. It's a relief to see that Gris is fine, or fine in like a relative sense of it, because you can see that that ship that you saw in harbor before is kind of the first thing that you see, like when you're looking at Gris. Does that make sense? You're looking at her from behind, like kind of seeing what she's focused on, and she's on a rooftop, like perched low and looking over it at the crescent ship that's in harbor. And whatever has happened between the last time you looked in on her and now, you can tell that the patrols that are moving through this little town are like more active. There's enough crew coming off of that ship to represent like a small army unto itself. Does that make sense? With Runa has a very good idea of like what's a lot of Marines to have on a ship, in the sense of like people who are capable of boarding and fighting and don't really do a lot of sailing work. They just kick people's ass. That ship has the largest complement of them she's ever seen on a ship, and she's been involved in like going up against Castilian and Montane like galleons and ships of the line and stuff like that. So the fact that that thing is loaded to do nothing but fight close quarters and has the men to do it and take slaves and carry them back and stuff like that means that there's enough to patrol an entire town with no problem. And Gris is her and her people who stand out like thumbs in Crescent Lands are hiding and keeping moving, and like they're imperiled, but they're not like knocking down their door imperiled. Does that make sense? There's a clock on it where either there's going to be like a fight, or they're going to be found out and clapped back in chains, or something else.
That's not good.
And you see as Gris is there and kind of like looking over the balcony, you see, sorry, the rooftop. You see a massive crescent man, like fully like 7 feet tall, a pair of scimitars like put into his belt. He can only be Kiradin, the like master of the ship. You see him, he kind of like lifts an arm, and you see there's like an elaborately worked bracer on his arm. And then you watch as like a porte rift opens in front of him. And you watch as Charlotte Seiss steps
That
out.
bitch.
I don't know as Runa's actually yet seen Charlotte.
No.
Right? She's only had descriptions of her.
Yeah.
But she can definitely see the family resemblance to Honorine. And I don't believe that Runa speaks a word of Crescent, right?
Nah.
So she misses the entire conversation, but she can tell like a couple of things. One is that Kiradin is not particularly well disposed towards her, but he also like views her as a necessity. Does that make sense? And at the same time, Charlotte very much respects the danger represented by the man, but is one part like fascinated by him. Does that make sense? And another part scared of him, and another part like seeking to use him. Does that make sense? And she's all like banter and playful flirtation and whatnot. At one point, she kind of like moves as if to like step a little bit closer, and she kind of hair flips her hair out of the way, like bears bosom, and Kiradin just sort of like catches her arm, and like the look of disgust on his face is palpable. He just like shoves her back, like keep your distance.
I'd assume I could talk to her.
You can talk to her when she's using her rune to respond to you.
Okay.
Because you can both hear each other at that point. But you can't talk to her right now because she's not trying to do so, because it's too dangerous for her to do so.
Okay, because I was thinking I could be like, hey, I'm going to talk to you, but you don't talk back to me. I'm just going to keep you updated, but I can't do that. So
no, because she has to be watching you so she can listen to what's happening in your
right. That makes sense. But I assume she knows that I'm there.
Let me have the roll for that, because that is not a guaranteed. So
okay, good to know.
no, she is not aware at the moment.
Okay.
She's got more important things to worry about right now than a long
I
distance
know.
call.
I know. I'm clarifying things.
Yeah, and you see, like, at one point, like, one of the men that she's with is like, he's leveling a crossbow at Charlotte's direction. You know what I'm saying? And Chris kind of like reaches over and puts her hand on it, like, don't you dare. One, it's going to give away their position,
2, you're gonna fucking miss.
and so, but the vision closes after that.
Okay.
Sorry.
She doesn't like that. Um, and then I think she'd also practice a little storm calling and calming.
She leave the city when she does that?
Maybe I should wait until
I'm
a
just
good time
just
for
asking
that
questions.
would be.
The city is quite flammable.
Well, mostly like she wants to call rain just to like get a
I'm
feel
saying
for it.
it's a muddy season already.
So maybe not.
And it borders on like flood problems
Okay, then maybe
if she
not.
does it too well. Which
Just
is
in
like,
case.
I imagine like she's so used to doing it like out on the open ocean where it's like, yeah, a little rain, what's it gonna hurt?
Right.
Until you accidentally summon the squall. It's not great in other location, but she is probably used to thinking of land as like a safer place to practice than open ocean.
Mhm. So yeah, maybe I don't do that.
Okay. I just all right. What is she doing after that? There's the morning coming, there's a trip to plan into the mirror. What does that look like from her perspective? Is she saying goodbye to people? Is she
Yeah, she's gonna talk to Sora and Brandy. Just let them know she's gonna be once again gone for a little bit.
yeah. Brandy doesn't quite grasp that like this is more than like just, a trip away for like a day or two, like when she went to go do war stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, I'm gonna miss you. Like she's not quite grasping the risk, but Sora does pick up that like
And Runa does
there's a little bit
specifically
of like
tell Sora that she's going for her mom.
and she says, do you know where she is?
Valhalla.
How do you mean to get to Valhalla and come back?
It's a long story and it's gonna sound crazy.
That's not dissuading me any.
I need to go through a portal to the Mirror Sea and then figure out my way from there. I can't get there from here.
She says, what about once you're through? Do you have a compass? Do compasses work? I've heard of the Mirror Sea. Which is not unusual because like she's Vendel and like their entire they're seafaring, you know what I'm saying? So like she's heard all the sailor stories, and not only that, at when she was working as a prostitute as Jenny, she heard stories from sailors as then.
I'm sure it doesn't spark much confidence, but gut feeling I have, I'm sure I can maybe find a compass, perhaps.
And her brow definitely furrows, and she says, I was brought up objectionist, not following the old ways. She says, and for many obvious reasons, my faith has waned since I was a child. She says, I don't know enough about the runes or
I can use my date.
who I should offer my prayers to for your safety.
Odin, technically. But he's coming.
Her brow knits more.
There's a lot. That's hard to explain. And I do deeply apologize.
She says, you've nothing to apologize to me for. She says, you rescued me from a life of bondage. You've cared for my daughter like she's your own.
You guys are family.
She says, I'll offer every prayer I have to Odin to see you back well.
Well, you know, I
Gee,
will do everything in my power to make it back safe.
So is there anybody else that she's speaking to?
Heroes.
I mean, the shipwright is also a fairly good person to like get the necessary provisions for a sea trip, because you know he's somebody that they will sometimes contact when they're trying to get things like laid in. Plus, she's seen him cook like traditional Vestan foods, which are designed inherently to last for a long time on the water.
Yeah.
So,
like, she's not only going to be like, hey, I'm going to be gone for a while, or like however long, a certain amount of time, she doesn't know, but also to get necessary items.
Yeah. And it definitely, you know, there's a question from like you're provisioning for a travel. He says, but you've no ship yet.
And she's had the globe with her since she got back home.
Mm-hmm.
And she holds it up.
Says, what magic is this?
Okay. I break it, and the revenge is back.
Do you have a crew who can sail it?
I don't know that can sail, but I've picked up a couple
That ship
things
was
from
designed to be
memory.
crewed with what, 50 men? Says a skeleton crew, you'll need at least 5, 6.
I believe I'm going to be reunited with some of the old crew. But there's 3. And then some of the council.
It'd take me a bit, he says, to have some provisions ready for you. Says, I don't know what voyage you're going on. Says, but it sounds like a strange one.
It certainly is.
And he embraces her. You can see like the worry like weighs heavily on him, but he just sort of puts up with it by going to work. You know what I'm saying? By like kind of throwing himself into like getting some provisions ready. And
before he does, she's just going to place both hands on his face and go, I will make it back.
And he kisses her like, wait, what's intended to be just sort of like sweet and innocent, but it's kind of quickly you think a lot more intimate than he originally intended. There's sort of a
Mhm.
like, oh, that's a wall against my back, and my feet are not quite touching the ground, and
She's not complaining,
um,
and
I
it's
will,
reciprocated.
yeah. Are we fading to black at that point,
Might as
or
well.
is it going to be something that like they're just going to part and um,
If
all
the
right.
moment calls for it, we fade to black.
That is definitely the direction that he's going, and it's definitely sort of like all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, I might not see you again, you're about to go off on some dangerous adventure. um so uh so Runa, when she wakes, it's at his place, and uh he's at work putting together provisions for her trip. She can see that it's beyond just like some food and stuff like that. He's packed like spare sailcloth and replacement ropes and like all the things will be necessary, but might not necessarily be on the Revenge.
Mhm.
But will be interesting to figure out how to transition through a portal onto a ship that won't be there until she's called in.
She's just gonna start handing stuff to the people that are coming with. It's like
um,
here's a bunch of shit for you.
um, and as she's sort of like turning around and like getting some of the provisions and stuff like that, she hears a deep and familiar voice say, well, "Who's this little twig now?" When she turns, she sees Orm and Lucky are outside of the shop, with like, and she sees that Odin is like nearby. You know what I'm saying? He's like showed them where to be. But Orm is like old enough to be her grandfather. She probably thought of him that way. It's remarkable that of everybody, he's still alive, because she thought for sure 4 years went by he would have like turned into dust. he's um he's still as massive as she remembers, and Lucky is there with him, as uh and is the first to kind of like jump forward and like pick her off her feet and spin her around in a hug.
Yeah. She like embraces him tight. I
um,
really never thought I'd see you guys again.
um, Lucky says it tore us leaving you in that state, but we had one chance to make a break for it.
You guys got yourself to safety, and I'm here now.
Yeah, she gets like the bejesus squeezed out of her by Orm a moment after like Lucky has her like set down.
Like she hugs him tight, but like she kind of just like she's not complaining about it. She's toughing it out, but she is like trying to take a deep breath of air.
um, and Orm kind of gruffly, he's like, all right, like, now what's this? As he like looks through the supplies. Um, it just naturally starts to like heft stuff as like one of the strong men of the ship. Like he's used to being a pack mule, you know. So, the guy who's like, like Lucky is the one who's like, I have food, and Orm is like, I am carrying sailcloth and ropes under both arms.
Things haven't changed much. I mean, a lot's changed, but you guys haven't.
Orm kind of like too old to change, too stubborn to die. Valhalla will gets me when it gets me.
It will be lucky to have you when it does.
So let's cut over to I think we have some ongoing questions, kind of like, first of all, I'm assuming everybody's going to Viking, that they're all going on the trip. So and everybody has some preparations to make, or at least like some goodbyes to say before they go. Do I have a volunteer for somebody who would like to go next because they have some things specifically in mind that they want to do? Anybody? I can just pick on
Gav's
Logan.
specific things are like after the trip. He wants to talk to Logan about the mine, but that's not important right now.
I mean, it is a good thing to sort of establish beforehand.
Mm,
So, if he wants to go and visit, like Logan's at the city hall at the moment. Wilma's handling everything, but Logan's been there more and more, just sort of like doing the opposite of what uh, Trog did. He like shows up, helps make decisions, gets to know people, that kind of,
mm.
all of the things that Trog just wasted away drinking. Um, Logan is there, like meeting dignitaries and not holding court so much as just like shaking hands. Does that make sense?
He's schmoozing.
Yeah, kind of. He is not comfortable with like the being the center of attention and the like, here's my throne, I'm sitting on it, come before me kind of way. Um, but he's also not like seeking influence with people. What he is doing is he's seeking to understand the problems that are driving them in the moment. Does that make sense? Is like a difference from like schmoozing.
He's
Like, he's not
networking.
necessarily trying to win them over. He's not trying to work them. He's trying to learn what drives them and why they're here.
Okay.
What it is they are looking for from him.
And I mean, Gav just sort of he waits patiently. Like he knows that Logan's doing important Iron Prince stuff, and at the same time he's observing
Yeah.
because these the questions he has to ask her.
And Logan very much knows that like there are urgent things going on with Gav in the moment. The other thing that Gav notices is that Heinrich is here. He's dressed as like a page of the court. Does that make sense? Which means that like Logan has pretty much officially adopted him. Does that make sense? And he looks like he wants to break out at the first opportunity.
Gav can watch
He
him
keeps like
squirm.
fussing with his like, because he's got like the little like ruffle ridge thing around it, and he looks like a cat in a cone as far as his general reaction to it. Does not want it, wants it off, wants to be anywhere but around his neck. And he does look optimistically towards Gav, like, are you here to spring me? I don't know what I did.
Yeah. So I mean, when he waits till Logan, like because he knows there's like an ebb and flow to this kind of stuff. So he waits
Yeah.
till Logan has a spare moment. He's like, Koenig, I was hoping if we could have possibly time to talk about and he just sort of like
All of it, yes.
da.
He says, let me go make sure that Zucker clears the area, that there's nobody eavesdropping over us. He goes to talk to Zucker, and Zucker's like, oh, give me a moment. They kind of like they move Gav and him into a like small little library that's off of everything. There's been like meals served in here before, and it's kind of because it's like one of the areas where there are no little outlets for servants to spy real well. Whereas the other ones, they're like, we know where they are. We don't know if somebody's in them at the moment, but we know they exist. There's like none known to be around this particular spot. So if somebody's listening, it's like at a door.
Yeah.
So.
And so he sits down and he's like, this whole issue with the mine has me awake at night. I do not know what we should do. And as Iron Prince and the person I know with most experience in the matter, I come to you.
I've been thinking about it too, he says, and I understand at the moment that we are at an impasse, and until such time as there's a strong enough council of Iron Princes to make a resolution and stick by it, or an imperator, that the Nibelungen are ultimately the ones who will back either of those options. And without them, what's in that mine is valueless.
So I guess my question becomes, Because I mean, like Gav's like he's not sure of the legitimacy of the ownership because he said, Heinrich found it, it should go to him. But Logan said you should take care of it, and he's at a crossroads and he's not sure which way to go.
He says, "What's your concern at the moment?"
He thinks about it for a while. He's like, the city. Which is the best choice for the city? Because Gav knows that with Dracheneisen comes coin. Their provinces live and die by their trade, da.
He nods.
And I want to help Feinerherd. Make this city truly great, truly free. And God knows you can do a lot with this. But is it the best thing for the city? And Gav does not know.
He says, "In my experience serving as Trog's scholar and sage and recorder of all matters, Drakenisen was not something that had value in the way of we think of things as having value with coin. It is given as a reward from service, but it cannot truly be sold in another way. If I were to start making Drakenisen firearms and giving them to nobles or selling them, all of the Nibelungen would withdraw their backing from me. And no amount of coin that I could get from it would be worth what I had lost." He says, which means that its true value is as reward for loyalty, as a show of trust to those who have served well. Um, that said, he says, if you have a mind the size that we do, there will be no end of people interested in proving their value to you, to earn Drakenisen as a show of status, or more practically as protection in a war.
And that is where the coin comes. As
Um,
favors.
he says, the prince doesn't determine who gets Drakenisen. The Nibelungen do. Deeds have to be approved by the Nibelungen. He kind of holds up a hand. He says, as far as I'm concerned, you and Heinrich have equal shared claim to the mine. I have adopted Heinrich for his protection, and I intend to afford him an education such that if he chooses to take that claim, he will have the capacity to execute it well. But as
A
far as
piece of
I'm concerned,
advice is like, as far as Heinrich is concerned, a piece of advice: give him time to roam. He is still a child of the streets, and he has a lot of energy.
I fully intend to. I know how I was raised, and I do not intend to raise a child in the same fashion. Says, that said, he does have to spend some time in court getting adjusted to it. He says, as uncomfortable as that may make him.
Like a cat in a skirt.
He is as little fond of that as he is of reading books. So he and I are of very different worlds, but I hope we will be able to see eye to eye in time. And I will appreciate any and all advice you can give me on his rearing, and will take it to heart. You have a much better sense. And if you would like to adopt him instead, I would happily relinquish him.
When we have an established home, we have not found a place yet. And I will consider it then. And of course, I will ask my soon-to-be wife.
Um, he says, if you want to take your claim before the Nibelungen, along with Heinrich, he says, as an independent Iron Prince, I will absolutely attest that it was your courage and Heinrich's luck which found the mine. He says, if you would instead choose to swear vassalage to me and loyalty, I would be delighted. But I
He
understand
smiles.
it would take time to consider that.
He smiles like, I have no intention of taking your job, by the way. Last thing on Gav's mind.
He smiles at that and he says, I appreciate that. He says, but you have a rare opportunity afforded to a common man of Eisen, which is to become an Iron Prince and truly have no master. And I do not begrudge you at all taking the time to consider the meaning of that.
You have given Gav much to think about.
You have been a steadfast friend and ally. It's the least I could offer you in return.
Growing up, I was told nobles are all the same. I am very glad that I am good friends with an exception to the rule. He sort of gives Logan like a very like a firm clap on the shoulder, not enough to bowl him over. He knows Logan better than that now, but definitely like
And he smiles at it. He says, I ran afoul of the nobles that you talk about many times in my time at the academy. Enough times to know that they were not the kind of men that I aspired to be. And that the only way to be accepted amongst them was to aspire to be just like them.
the Redmond Earharts of this world have no place. I would be glad to remove them and show them how to do it properly.
I don't think we need any Redmond Earharts, but there were other nobles that were just as convinced of the strength of Eisen might and the importance of its traditions that did not see a world in which I should be a part of theirs.
It is their loss and their closed-mindedness.
Our people are many things, he says, but particularly open-minded is. He kind of laughs. He says, the root of our problems.
Da.
He says, actually, that's unfair. He says, for many years, he says, Objectionist and Vaticine existed side by side with no problems between them. He says, it wasn't until the church persuaded the Reifenstalls to stamp out Objectionism that suddenly there was an issue between them. But for years before that, they never troubled one another.
To better days.
He says, so the closed-mindedness that I put on Eisen, I should not.
Men can change. When they have a good leader to show them, as an example, men can change. We will show them. So it's us.
He nods. He says, whatever your decision, it has been an honor being your friend.
Da.
I should get back out there.
We are heading on another trip, so I have much to prepare.
I wish I could be there.
I need to tell my bride this time.
He says, I wish I could be there. It sounds fascinating.
I will tell you all about it when we get back.
Do, and make sure you get back to tell all about it.
Da. Can't tell stories of the ghost.
And he smiles at that. I'm assuming that there's a long goodbye with Hannelore that comes after that.
Yep.
Um,
And
full of
again,
her,
another promise to tell her all about it when he gets back.
yeah, but mostly covered by a fade to black of, you know, giving you plenty of reasons to come back. um, all right, so Honorine or Hans would like to have some goodbyes or preparations.
Not it.
Okay. I was gonna say, do either of us really have much to do?
have a
Well,
sister.
Hans Moore has like a lot of things that he needs to take care of in the way of like, you know, he's got his sister to check on, but he also has like a lot of responsibilities, like
Just to
especially
make
with
sure
like
shifts are
an
covered
approaching
and
army. Well, there's an approaching army. He's the marshal.
Yeah.
There's still, you know, so I think a lot of his time is actually spent with like the Wakund. You know what I'm saying? Of like, we're gonna start seeing volunteers. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna start training them. Some of the
Mhm.
money that has been promised is starting to come in, and so we're able to like, you know, take from spare and like offer jobs like training to be soldiers. And the thing is like most of the men have training as soldiers. Like many of
Yeah.
the men, you know,
A lot of
like
them are already
they fought
veterans.
in the war, or you know, it's just a question. And there's a lot of like, so how injured are we going to be accepting into our army? Because there are veterans who have lost limbs but are willing to fight. And you know, like obviously, like the kind of like first rank of recruits that they're going to go for is like those who are young enough to like kind of be moldable, you know what I'm saying, and don't have significant injuries and don't have like major mental damage. That is the smallest pool of people that they will find.
Yeah, the most ideal recruits are the smallest portion of the army.
We're looking for unicorns, kids.
Yeah.
And there's also like those that they can form into sort of like a secondary defensive militia that's only going to be called up to defend the city, but isn't expected to like march or go places.
Mhm.
In which case, like having significant injuries is less of a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you only
you don't
have
have to
one arm,
travel
that's
for
fine. If you're
days and
sitting on a wall
days.
and you're loading a rifle and you know, like you
Yeah,
can still pull a
exactly.
trigger with an aim.
You
You're
can
going to
still
do it
fire a
slower.
crossbow with one arm.
Exactly. So like this is all kind of like being discussed in like, you know, like longer meetings. Like these aren't people that like the Wakun would necessarily recruit to like go be mercs. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? But like
Yeah.
the members of the Wakund with their various responsibilities are sort of being phased into like, now let's do it for an army. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
instead of
everyone kind
just
of has
like,
to scale up.
yeah, like I'm no longer just like the cook. I'm now in charge of provisions for an army, and I have to figure out how to do that for a larger group. And you know, and now I have a building instead of a tent to do it out of.
Yeah. And now we can hire more people to cook as well. We can hire more people we can pay multiple blacksmiths to make swords or buy
Yes.
stock from multiple blacksmiths.
And there is like the Houndstooth, where they had all originally been set up anyway, which had a lot of space dedicated to drinking and a lot of rooms dedicated to sleeping, has now become much more of like an administrative office. That's like, it's like, okay, do you really need a bed here? No, sorry, this is an office now.
Yeah, we need this space.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of that is like going on. There's a lot of Wakun members who are fairly well off making pricey offers to members of like Finer Hearth that are like in the nearby adjacent, like, so this is a really nice townhouse. I'm not doing the threatening thing. I'm just saying like, we'd like to make you a nice offer so that we could live close to work.
Yeah, do you want
with this
our
money, you can definitely buy a nicer place elsewhere. It's just I like the proximity.
Yeah, exactly. It's close to work.
But they're successful mercenaries. They do have coin to spend, and so it's kind of actually improving the district as a whole. Hans, for his part, is also having like, I think, meetings with the general captain of the city guard of like, there's only so much longer that Hans can realistically captain Finehearth.
Exactly. He has to figure out a replacement for that district.
Yep.
Doc's got a lot on his plate.
And there is a question of like,
it's a lot of administrative work.
Point you'd like to name for that, or to be approached?
I don't know. I think it's I don't think he's put enough proper focus on that subject quite yet to come up with like a short list. He's probably been tossing the idea around whenever he's got spare time to like ponder stuff, but I don't think he's come up with a solid list of people to like actually have the conversation with yet.
Yeah. And the it's like in the middle of doing all of that, they that a familiar face comes into his office. That being, it was the younger of the two men that were accompanying Strauss, the one that he knew was a journalist at the Gazette. Does that make sense? Or at least had that as a cover job. And you know, and him
He's
just like
secretly
showing
Spider-Man.
him just like showing up is definitely sort of like, what's going, and he's like, I am actually just here for an interview if you have some time.
Flip through a little notebook. Yeah. Have a few moments, a bit of spare time. Yeah. Wait, sit down, please.
He says the subject is Freeburg. He says it's future safety. He says we understand. He says there are forces at work immediately around Freeburg.
Indeed.
He says, and you have been known to be, well, one, you're named as the marshal. He kind of gestures around the place. He says, well reputed on top of it. What are your plans to keep Freeburg safe?
Oh, well, I mean, how much time do you have? I suppose how much time do I have?
This is what I'm here for, bro.
to keep it, you know, somewhat brief and digestible for everyone. We are formally raising an army to represent the city in both offensive and defensive capabilities. We have we have some early stage plans to build up proper defensive infrastructure, including a large wall encasing the entire city with posts for rifles and crossbows and other ranged weaponry, as well as lookout towers in the most advantageous positions, more secure entry in and out of the city, mainly to prevent agents of opposing armies and forces from infiltrating, as we are developing this plan to kind of embolden ourselves as a more, maybe not central power, but as a more as a place to be taken seriously, realistically. And that comes with its own challenges. Working with a number of businesses and guilds within the city to raise funds and materials and manpower, most importantly, raise manpower and train those who live on our outskirts to contribute to this effort and to be compensated and maybe have a chance to lift themselves up to a more advantageous financial position in the city and in our economy.
It says, feel free to decline to answer, but I have some specific questions as well. I understand if there's something regarding the security of the city that you don't want to disclose, I won't publish it. I'm not here to. He says, my first question, he says, would be if there's anything a citizen of the city would like to do to help secure the city, what would you say is the top thing to do? Would it be to donate money, to volunteer for militia service, to?
I mean, we're primarily a city of people and of manpower. So anyone who can contribute labor or anyone who would like to join and train to be a soldier, we welcome you with open arms and as much coin as we can reasonably allocate.
It says, has anybody approached the people out in despair in trying to set up work groups that might be able to dig fortifications in return for coin or food?
We have plans to do so. I've not gotten quite so far as of yet. We do have plans to reach out into despair for recruiting on all fronts, effectively. We want to give.
So that hasn't happened yet.
As of most
I
think
think
reports
there's been.
from. As
Sorry,
of most,
I know I'm not here.
No.
I think. Well, I think last we did like administrative stuff. It's like we're like just starting, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So there aren't any groups that are going out there yet.
Yeah.
He says, I don't want this to come as a surprise to you when the article is published, but there are groups that have been in despair claiming to act on your behalf as the marshal.
Yeah.
Recruiting people and claiming that they'll be trained as soldiers or workforces.
It's something we've been trying to crack down on as much as we can. Hopefully, within the coming days at most, we can get some more of our own official representatives out and.
What he's suggesting actually sounds like con man.
Yeah, we're trying to keep them at bay, but we just like we're spread thin, man. That is high on our list of issues to bring under control.
He says,
we'll not stand for that.
Does your office have a mark or a signal or something that we can publish so that people can recognize this officially comes from the marshal? We're happy to run that if you have something like that.
I'm trying to think of if we have one. Let's see.
I mean, I assume he's not using like his rifle stall.
No, I'm trying to. Well, I think at this point he's got. It may have just been something he may have kind of worked with in his own time, just as like a little hands-on project. He'll like present a little wooden coin, basically, of that like big branching tree emblem that appears on his like armor when he's in like shadow combat form.
All right.
And with plans to properly implement this on all documentation to be circulated. We just need to acquire some tools for proper stamping and molding and whatnot. But these will be circulated within, in the new documents even as soon as 2 days from now.
He nods and he says, off the record, he says, there's a woman who's an expert forger in town. He says, up north. He says, you might ask for her insight as to how to make this as difficult to reproduce as possible.
It is good to know. That's much appreciated. He scribbles down a note in his giant notebook on the table.
Thank you. He says, all right, back on the record. He says, have you approached any of the other Iron Princes for possible mutual self-protection alliances?
Not as of yet. We have, as the city as a whole, there's been talk of making contact with Fischler to arrange trading relationship for provisions and supplies and whatnot. But as of right now, and as of right now, we're not on necessarily the greatest of terms, nor are we willing to make the likely aggressive and very unfavorable concessions that the other Iron Princes in the immediate region would request of us. As I'm sure you know, the biggest opposing threat is von Reposen, being the highly decorated general and warmonger really that she is.
One doesn't invite the wolf to the non-aggression pact.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, she's
pointedly to to put up fences around them. He says, but have you approached Wish or Heinzel? Or are there
No.
plans to do so?
It is something we have floated in, in meetings behind closed doors and whatnot, but currently we don't have the manpower to send so far away. We want to try and at least get a proper foothold on our defenses and have most of our focus be on building up at least the bare bones of our current defensive projects and whatnot before we start sending dignitaries or your messengers and whatnot to such lengths for unguaranteed results.
He says, this is me speaking in my other capacity. He kind of like, he pulls his glove down enough to show like the little black circle to indicate what he's talking about without anybody who's overhearing maybe getting what's going on. He says, if you need a message delivered discreetly and quickly, we can do that.
That is a service we will be probably procuring from you then. In that case,
Yes.
if you're willing to, that would be.
We have our own interests in Posen, not being in charge of Freeburg.
Yeah.
He says, this is the last thing. He says, it's also off the record. He says, we have reliable information. He says, first-hand accounts. He says that Seeker's troops are armed and moving.
How they know?
It says, and they are not moving into Vodachi lands. He says, I understand. He says they're massing on the borders with Fischler and Heinzel.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. That accelerates our timetable in a menagerie of ways then. Oh. More notes. Shut the notebook. It is also good to know. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
He says, my supervisor, he says, and you can tell he's like not talking about the one at the print office.
Yeah.
He says he knows some reputable mercenary organizations that he can send word to as well. Says that there might be work in the near future. He says he also wanted to suggest, given you were directly responsible for stabilizing the situation in Heelgrund, you might want to send runners to the leaders of the towns and cities there to see if they're willing to work together.
That is also something we've kind of we've been trying to make a framework for. With there's many people left in the wake of what Heelgrund did to that place that it could use a chance at something better. This for sure.
Says,
but I mean, yeah, if your supervisor can get more attention on work opportunities here, we will take as many people as we can get, as many people as we can pay. We will employ.
He'll send word that there might be opportunities in the near future in Freiburg. And says, in the meantime, he says, if you take action in Heelgrund, it might help stabilize the area in the long term, because organization and trained village militias can do a lot to keeping the peace, especially with the major threat gone.
Oh yeah, they could be an asset in the long term. That is for sure.
He rises and he says, "Thank you for the interview."
Of course, shake his hand.
Yeah. And like the piece when it like comes out, I'm gonna mention it now because I will probably forget to do it later. It is definitely not like a hit piece. It's like a Freeburg's in trouble, and here's how you can help.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
it's an I want you.
Yeah, it's not like straight up sort of like obsequious or anything like that, but it is like, hey, there are armies moving, and there's every possibility we are minutes away from another 30 years war. Mm-hmm. So
if you would like to help the city, then here's what you can do to help.
Yeah. So, and it's like, if anything, the problem with him as a reporter is he's a little dispassionate. Does that make sense? He's not the greatest at like the exhortation to action. He's much more like, something you might want to look into.
It could be interesting. Might want to take a look.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to cut from there, and we're going to go over to Honorine.
Yes. Hello.
How are you doing? I know you were hurting beforehand, so I'm just checking.
I'm living the dream.
All right. Honorine has some time as well. I assume she is also planning to go on the expedition to the mirror.
I have been thinking about that because, like, I sure would like to, but I don't actually think Honorine, she has her aunt. She has other stuff to like take care of, and like, yeah, like Charlotte is a bitch and like it's a family thing, but like she kind of trusts her friends to like take care of that. Um and also I don't think she quite understands like what exactly they're supposed to be doing on a ship. And also I think she's like, what exactly do you want me to do on a ship? Do you think I can tie knots? No. So I'm
No,
not
but
sure that she's going.
And you know, just from like a sort of out of game perspective, it will be there are definitely a myriad number of ways somebody who can set fire to things can be useful in getting stuff out of Valhalla.
Yeah, I'm like looking at it and I'm like, it would be easier for my storyteller if Honorine went on the big trip that everyone's going on, wouldn't it?
And there's also like, you know, there is they might be asking everybody to go rescue Honorine's family member pretty soon.
We're trying to prevent that.
We are, but you know, like it's not necessarily a terrible idea to like pay that debt forward.
No, I know, and it's not that. It's not like that. Oh my God, Cios. Oh my God.
No. I'm just, I was just like making a note. For me as a storyteller, I would love to have you there because I think it'll make everything easier. But I also understand why she's torn and conflicted, and I actually like appreciate that she is conflicted about it.
Catholic levels of guilt. I think she wasn't raised Vadicine. I don't think the Montaigne are very big on Vadicine.
So here's my question: has she been talking to Anjay about it? Or has she just been like bottled up, and Anjay's kind of like, wow, a lot of things have been eating you lately. They're not me.
I was resisting making that joke, and then you made it.
I couldn't help it.
I think she feels that there's a lot of stuff that's not hers to tell, but I do think that she's been talking a little bit about like the thing with Charlotte and the frustration with having that going on, and her aunt being in confinement, and I think she's said something along the lines of like, also, you know, we have a lead on Runa's family, and that sounds like a whole big thing. So like I think she's a little bit vague on the Runa side of things. She's been talking about it a little, unless Anjay tortures it out of her, which is possible.
I think when Anjay kind of gets like it's more about it's not my thing to tell, she leaves off. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, your worry about your aunt is the thing that I hear in your voice when you talk about her.
Yeah. I mean, that madman could decide at any moment, like, off with her head, and then what? And then I've spent all of this time not helping her.
She says, I don't know if you know this, but you're acquainted with a traveling scholar and professor who's something of an expert at rescuing beautiful women from danger.
Tell me more.
She says, I can go to Charus.
And
I have talked my way into many a court.
And it's very clear that like she's like, oh, I am in the habit of doing this, and I can also do this. It's very clear that Honorine is like kind of forgot that about Anjay. Forgot the reloading a pistol while sitting sideways on a horse like aspect. Forgot about that and sort of had been thinking of Anjay more as like the scholarly, teaching her language, like going on cute astronomy dates, like kind of thing.
She kind of smiles and she says, since the Inquisition decided to outlaw knowledge, becoming a scholar has become a bit more exciting than it used to be.
It's true.
She says, but I can go and I can be there and be ready to cause trouble.
That would be delightful. That would make me feel a lot better.
She says, the kind of kisses you owe me are going to be epic. She
Agreed.
says, but I'm happy to.
Well, I don't think my aunt would be opposed to them either, but I never want to hear about it.
She kind of smiles and she says, I do try to avoid dating within the same family.
Well,
I'm not saying it hasn't
Why?
happened by accident before, but I try to avoid it.
Why?
That's.
He says, plus I understand your aunt is something of an amazing scholar, so I have plenty of reason to travel there.
She is. She's probably the most intelligent and well-educated and thoughtful and brilliant person that I know or have ever met. Sorry.
Well, then I will be happy to help make certain that her future contributions to scholardom are intact.
Yeah. That would be good. That'd be good.
She says, I'm going to have to leave immediately, though, if I'm going to be of any use. It's a long trip.
Right.
Um,
Well, about that, there is a shortcut.
She raises an eyebrow.
There is a shortcut, and I can take you there. But you will have to trust me, and you will have to be blindfolded the entire way.
I mean, the second part is usually just fun.
I can get you to Charus pretty much with the expediency of anyone with Porte.
Well, I'm curious. I was just going to hire the Porte sorcerer once he's back in business to take me there.
I mean, you could do that.
But if this is faster or safer, then...
Well, it would not involve hiring somebody who's possibly not in business for a while. So I don't know how close he is.
I don't last I spoke to him, his brother said that when things go bad, it's usually a month or two before he's had enough to drink to fortify himself to go back through the portal.
I believe it. Yeah. So basically, Honorine's going to like offer to take her down to the portal and like try to get her through the portal that they found to Charus.
Because they have sort of an agreement with the people who are, protecting that area, that like they're not just going to be coming and going. It's probably going to be something that'll happen at the same time as they're taking everybody to go to the mirror.
Okay. Which
Does that
is
make
fine.
sense? So she'll go with the group at that time.
Mm-hmm.
She says, there is something I have for you though before we go. She says, something you're going to have to take care of for me. And she she sets something on Honorine's lap. It's a wrapped gift.
Okay.
She says, she kind of gestures like open,
She's gonna open. I'm sorry, Calvin is singing the song of his people and it's very distracting.
I can hear it. The gift is a pistol, but it's an exquisitely wrought, like handmade one. That has clearly been made for Honorene's hands, like as in like the grip is designed for her. Does that make sense?
Oh,
And there's like a little bit of like mother of pearl like inlaid in the handle, and like some elements of silver that have been kind of used along the barrel to montain it up, really.
You're gonna need a new outfit to go with that pistol.
obviously.
She says her name is Belle.
You want me to look after Belle for you?
I do.
I would be happy to. Thank you so much.
Um,
And GM, I also do I don't think she has been keeping up with Ittori as much as she should, like kind of touching base, and I don't think they've talked for a while, so she's going to check in with him before she leaves as well, to be like, hey, I'm leaving the city. Do you need anything? How are you? Are you still alive?
Give me a wits and keen senses roll as she's like at his place.
Is he at his place?
I will let you know after you get the roll.
He drank a shrinking potion and he's stuck in his boot.
Can I add anything like architectural sense or criminal?
No, this is literally like overhearing. Well, I will allow criminal for some stealth and up close and.
Okay. So 38.
Okay.
Not one explosion. Rude.
So the Ittori's place is he specifically purchased it because he's a goddamn spy, and so he wanted a place that it was going to be hard to like overhear him and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So it's only the fact that there is like a single window that's partially open that you can hear voices like coming from within. Does that make sense? And she hears Ittori's voice. She hears another voice that she doesn't know. It has a Vidache accent, but it is of a distinct region from like where Ittori is from. Does that make sense? So like Ittori, his accent is Mondavi. This is something else, and Honorine does not have the familiarity with the different areas of Adachi to recognize accents by island.
Okay, so it is Mondavi or it's slightly different?
No, Ittori's accent is Mondavi.
Right.
Like from the other person that he's talking to is not from Mondavi.
Okay.
His accent is distinct. And to describe his accent is extremely metropolitan. His voice, like Honorine doesn't even like see him, but she's like, the person who owns that voice is incredibly sexy. Like it just sounds like silk, and it sounds like there's a razor edge in the way that the man talks that feels like if you were to drop a piece of silk, it would split across his voice.
Interesting.
And she hears Ittori like, of course, I'm sorry I don't have anything more to report. Things have been too busy for a single hand here in the city. And the voice in response says, your work has been more than adequate. Extraordinarily insightful, actually. I appreciate all that you've done. And I appreciate this little trinket. And he Ittori says, be very careful with that. It's one of the deadliest in my family's arsenal. And the other voice says, music to my ears. If you'll excuse me, I need to be on my way.
Honorine goes back out and like comes back in more noisily.
Yeah, like, well, and the person
Or
that he's
whatever.
talking to never exits through a door. He doesn't
First
like.
time.
She doesn't see where that person leaves. She just kind of, when she goes and like knocks, Itori kind of like goes to said open window and like gives a small wave and then comes down.
And Honoring's like, I'm, for once I'm not here with any requests in particular. Came to check in because I'm
No
leaving
crimes
this.
to commission. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I haven't seen you since the last one. I'm leaving
I
the
don't
city
believe
for a
I've
while.
been paid for the last one.
Oh no. Well, that means I have to stay alive for a while till I get back.
Oh
Apparently
no,
have
I
some
think
debts
you
to settle.
absolutely required to pay your debts before you
Oh boy.
go. And he is absolutely just like angling to like pull her inside and kiss her against a wall and use that as like the debt payment that he's discussing.
She is going to sort of more seriously I don't know that there's a good way for me to phrase it right now because my brain is soup. But like it is a genuine like check-in and like treating him as an ally and not somebody who she can just call for favors. Like she is trying to check in, make sure he's like she hasn't seen him in a while. She wants to make sure that he's good before she leaves. It's not just transactional. It's like, hey, you good?
Give me you may use noble or criminal where um he's concerned to get a proper read of like where he's actually at.
I'm using noble because it's higher.
Okay.
And what was the other one? Wits?
I will actually let you use your appearance on this as well because I think she's easily capable of using a bit of like the seduction and smoochies and stuff like that to like open him up a little bit.
Or
That's what he said.
Okay. So hang on, math. So we have wits, appearance, noble. I can't think of anything else to talk you into, so I guess I'll go with that. 50.
Okay. So a few things. Tori is not a messy person by nature. Does that make sense? Like he's an alchemist, and it's very important to like keep things from touching each other during alchemy.
Yes.
Right. And that is like a general practice that pervades his place. That said, his place is currently spotless. Like, and obviously he had no idea Honorine was coming. You know what I'm saying? But the other guests that he had, he did. Does that make sense? The other thing is that like Ettore is trying to like lose himself in some debauchery at the moment, and he's hiding the fact that like whoever he was with just now deeply terrified him.
That's deeply terrifying in itself. So she's going to like sort of I think she's going to sort of comment like, it looks like you haven't been home much.
He says, "Oh no, quite the opposite. I haven't been out of the house in a week."
Really? You are the most pristine bachelor I have ever met. In that case.
He kind of smiles. He says, I have a lot of messy guests. He kind of gestures to like the range of different animals that are like in different terrariums and cages and stuff like that. He says, keeping a clean house is the only way to keep sane.
right then. I
Says there's something your council should know. He says, I had intended to make my way there soon, he says, and your fortuitous arrival says saved me a trip.
You're welcome.
He says Eric Seeger has broken his deal with Mondavi. He says the troops that he has trained are loyal to him now, and he is marching on the rest of Eisen.
Are you surprised?
No.
Mm-mm.
He says I counseled Mondavi from the beginning that Seeger would turn on him.
He doesn't just. I think he doesn't just want to be an Iron Prince.
He shakes his head. He says the man studies empire building. He doesn't do it idly.
No.
Says when we first met, he says he told me an anecdote. He says about how every single one of Numa's roads had been built with corpses. He says that the bone meal, he says, ground into them, he says, helped them repair themselves. He says a man who knows things like that and finds them interesting plans to build roads.
There was and she's gonna kind of tell him a little bit about the scene that they found when they went to what previously was the Reifenstahl castle. She's going to tell him a little bit about like what they found in the basement, the sacrifices that Heilgrund was making, and the lengths that it seemed he would go to gain whatever small power he could manage. And it's not like there's not like any particular point to it. She's just like, there are so many, like, as hungry as Hilgrund was for power, that he would do that. And as hungry as Posen is for power, that she is now marching on everybody. I believe, Honorine says, I believe that probably Seeger outstrips them all in his hunger. And that's very scary.
He says, you've met the man. You've seen how charming he is. He says, a strategist is a dangerous thing. He says, without a doubt. He says, they make frightening generals. He says, but it is charisma coupled with strategy that makes emperors.
Well, and with one of our strongest leaders in the city out of the way, Loring is gone. I'm not saying there aren't strong leaders to replace him, but it definitely is a sore loss at the moment.
You are friends with Fischler, yes?
Yes.
Says you might want to write him a letter and send it urgently. My suspicion, if I know the man, is that he'll take out Heinzel first. His army's smaller, weaker. He'll have a unified border to take on Fischler with.
Okay. And Honorine was like, kind of starting to be like, well, won't he go for the food first? Or is he too well supplied from Mondavi to need that yet?
I have no doubt that he put away ample stores for being on the march. Gav points out that Chatty's been getting paid in grain by Mundavi, and
That's literally what I just
likely
said.
yeah. But he would store it. He would turn it into flour. He would bake it into bread that is into hardtack, so it's unlikely
Right.
to go bad anytime soon.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yes. I mean, it's already been time to write him another letter. He sent me fish. Did I tell you that? He sent me fish.
He's a fisherman.
I think it's his love language.
Well,
His love language is fish.
says, if you'd like me to deliver that letter, I would. I wouldn't mind a trip outside the city for a while.
Would it get straight to Fischler, or would you have stops on the way?
In this case, he says it would have to be the first thing I delivered. Otherwise, it would be useless to arrive.
Right. All right, then. And Henri's gonna go ahead and trust that the contents of her letter aren't gonna have a stop off on the way to whoever Atori's got going on.
And if you want to write the letter in downtime, then we can...
Yeah, I mean, it will probably be a very short letter.
If she's dashing it off while she's there, that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably going to do that, dash it off, my dearest Koenig Fischler, fucking draw up your bridges. All my best, Honoring.
And he takes it and he says, I'll give him whatever advice I have that I think is of value in regards to the man coming for his...
I would appreciate that. I think he probably made a mistake crossing you. That was not wise.
He tried to hire me away from the man I work for.
Well, of course he did. You're very good at what you do.
It was flattering, he says. Less flattering was the assassins he sent that night after I turned him down. But actually still flattering.
I hope that whatever other matters you have going on are equally as easily dodged, or at least as equally dodged. I don't know how easy it was, but
Eyes and assassins are not as quiet as they could be.
it's the courtesans you have to look out for.
I don't believe I've run into an Eisen courtesans yet.
Missing out.
He gives her a kiss and he takes the letter.
Okay.
And rarely leaves her alone in his home for a minute. As he's heading out. If she wants to leave, that's fine. If she is gonna poke around, she's welcome to do so.
I mean, that's basically an invitation to poke around from Atori.
What is she looking for? Bearing in mind that she's poking around a room filled with poisonous stuff.
I don't know.
Don't look in the cages. One will try to bite you.
Don't stick my hand in the cages. Got it. Pet all the friends. I don't know. I think she's going to see what he keeps under his pillow. Or under his mattress. What is a man like that? What kind of things does a man like that keep under his pillow?
So under his mattress, there's just a blade that next to a small vial of something that she assumes is extremely toxic.
Probably.
Right? Under his pillow, however, there is a copy of a book that she has already read. This copy is older. It looks first edition. One of the original runs of oh my god, I'm blanking on the title of it now.
Is it the
Scarabese.
yeah.
Scarabese. The political.
The like the prince, basically their version of the prince,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes. This one
flips
is
through it, like just sort of.
there. So there's somebody has done something that Anjay would absolutely like be enraged by, which is that they've like written in the margins of this book.
Mhm.
This is a first edition text that could fairly be called like part of like the literary treasures of the thing is the person who's written in it is not a Tory. This is a different hand. And
Mhm.
at the front of the book there's a note, as this book was given as a gift. And the inscription is, in a world of baubles and treasures, there is nothing more priceless than loyalty. And then the initials on it are GV.
She's gonna put everything back where she found them. Try to leave everything exactly as she found it.
Go ahead and give me a wits and criminal roll for that.
33.
Okay.
Probably does all right. He probably knows. He knows anyway. I don't know why I'm bothering.
All right. So we're going to cut it over to Len at this point. I mean, Itori is probably the kind of person to be insulted if she didn't rifle through his stuff a little bit.
He'd be like, it's like she doesn't care.
Left you alone and everything.
So what is Len doing in the day that he has before everybody's like meeting back up to go down?
Well, he'll probably pack up supplies and put some money ahead on keeping his room for his house for another 6 months or so, just in case. And just ask, if I'm not back in 6 months, I might be dead, or I might be stuck as an just stuck somewhere.
The angriest Rosa if you're not back in 6 months.
Yeah.
All right.
He'll touch base with Rosa too, make sure she's even if she needs some time, he's still at least going to say goodbye if she's not going with.
Yeah. We will leave that conversation ambiguous.
Okay.
Until such time as we know what she's doing.
That's fair.
And we will, and I'm actually going to have us, we're going to cut ahead to everybody sort of like gathering, going down. Runa is being accompanied by Lucky and Orm. And Giralt,
I'd assume probably aren't leaving her side.
Odin is coming as well. Is there anybody else that's going with the group?
Len doesn't really have people except the group itself. Like, he hasn't ended up as the head of any sort of organization or anything like that. So
he needs to start putting himself together a spy organization, since that's what he seems to be spending most of his time doing.
You need to, what now?
He needs to put himself together a spy organization.
Oh, yeah. You need time to actually build one of those, and there's not a lot of time to build a spy organization when you're running from doom to doom.
It's true.
The group that Runa's with just has like stacks of shit.
Yeah, they do at least look like they know what they're doing in preparing for a Viking,
Like, I feel like all of their hands are full.
Would Geralt be up for a raid, or is he? I don't know. Because I heard you almost say his name at one point.
No, Geralt's coming.
Okay, good.
He's not going to miss this. Like, this is like a mystery that's haunted him forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now he has the chance to see like the mirror, and like more of the Cerneth firsthand.
Wait.
If he comes away with some stuff to sell, cool. But yeah, Ingvild itself sells it. The fact that they're potentially rescuing Ingvild from Valhalla.
Okay, question: how
story
are we getting
itself.
the ship that's not necessarily all together down into the sewers,
Globe.
fixing it?
It's in a globe.
Yeah, it's in a globe, but how are you going to fix it? It's not exactly like the Mirror Sea has a freaking dry dock.
I don't assume it's broken in the globe.
No, inside of the globe, it's the ship that was sunk. Does that
So
make
it's
sense?
broken
It's
as shit.
broken in half. But Mab did say like it would bring the ship back.
Oh, okay. Because
So she might have said that and meant like, the parts of it, but you guys will find that out fairly quickly.
Runa has to do the like
I shit
slow
you not,
motion dive and assemble the ship as she falls
So
into the
I'm
water.
assuming that the plan at this point is to send the Revenge, or is to go through, break the globe of the Revenge, like on the other side, while the portal is still open, so that Runa can swim back if need.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that if they need to like get a canoe instead of Revenge, they
Yeah.
can do that.
I'm gonna feel real bad, but also laugh my ass off if she breaks the globe. And it's just like 2 halves, splash. Look.
It's a good thing Runa's an able swimmer.
Yeah. They're still probably gonna want to tie a rope around her or something.
Okay.
So we
So
gotta get all these people and all these supplies down into the sewers, blindfolded so they don't know what's going on, guide them through the clay fields, into the tunnels, into the room of portals, put the ship together while they all stay blindfolded because they really shouldn't know about this. And then try to get them all through the portal and onto the ship. Do we have a dinghy with us? Are we bringing?
There was the canoe that had been shattered, so I don't think there's something else to use. The portal is able to like be opened, you know what I'm saying, for quite some time. Like
It's
just
a lot of fuck it we ball.
Everyone's supposed to repel out of the portal.
This is very much one of our adventures. Let's just go and see if we can even do this, y'all.
We'll open up with Honorine kind of like saying last goodbyes to Anjay before sort of splashing the portal that's going to send her to Charus. Any suggestions she's giving her as to like how to get around or how to come? Is she telling her how to come back as well? Like that this can potentially lead her back the way she came.
Yes, she's going to explain. So she's going to unblindfold Anjay once they're in the room with the portals, because she's kind of gonna have to, like, otherwise it's just gonna be like,
This is Center Ruin.
Off you go to Charus.
Just immediately, like the scholar, like totally, like this is so cool.
Immediately nerds out.
Yeah.
well,
Geralt
wait,
seems to appreciate it.
Is the Cernith ruin visible from inside the chamber of portals?
All of this stuff is clearly Cernith in origin.
Oh, fair. Okay. I just wasn't sure. Yeah, so she blindfolds Anjay, waits for the fangirling to get done with, mostly. And it's like, okay, these are like porte gates, but they work with water instead of blood, which is why you can use them even though you're not of the blood.
Splash.
Does she immediately splash the water at No,
and then the one next to it, and then the one next to it.
Stop. Nope. She's gonna like be like, be careful, because some of these go to not so friendly places.
Oh.
Close it. I see tentacles. I see tentacles.
I love excited and lesbian.
I know.
She's
yeah.
like, I could write a thesis on this room alone.
Absolutely, and perhaps someday you shall.
But
for now, I want you
given the murderous folks that guard it, it maybe is not advisable, but
right. Can't go into that now. There's too much. Let me sum up. So she's like, okay, so when you come back from the other side, you should be able to splash it, and we've tested it twice. So hopefully it continues to hold up that way. If not, you may have to come back from Charus the long way around.
She's like, does somebody have some chalk? And Geralt's like, pops into his pack, pulls it out. Just like standard explorers pack society.
Every
Also,
good
when
explorer
you
has chalk.
when you come back, the nice men that guard this place will probably want to blindfold you on the way back up, and anyone you bring with you. So be aware of that.
So there will be men here when I come back that are not all of you.
That are not what?
All of you all.
There will be. There are people who guard this area and who take it very seriously, which is why you were blindfolded on the way down.
And she's like, well, she's like, how will they know who I am?
Can't they see who she is like right now? Like,
And as she asks that, a familiar voice speaking with that like kind of strange exotic accent, he steps out across the room and he says, we see you, and we will make sure you are safely returned.
and she's going to outright tell, I don't remember his name, but she's going to be like, she's checking on my family. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
He says, and the Grandmaster Kazi bows. He's and he like kind of looks around to like the faces and he says, everyone that is here, he says, will have permission to pass from here in safety.
Thank you.
He says, and the guest that you return with. He looks to Anjay.
Okay, hugs and kisses. Good luck. Splash.
He kind of like before he looks to Honorary like before
Oh, she's gonna stop.
you go. No, not like Anjay's fine.
Okay.
He says,
Unsplash. Splash.
I have a
Unsplash.
question for you. Yeah, you see Anjay go through and kind of like on the other side looking around with the same like
She's such a nerd. I love her so much.
But Kazi says, have you done something to antagonize the Crescent Empire?
Oh no.
Oh
my god.
It did. Okay, here's what I have to ask: does Honorine have a graceful reaction to that, or is it just like, oh shit?
Define antagonize.
Nobody died.
He asked that question and she's just like, the whole empire? I don't think so.
Specifically, the royal palace of the Caliph.
Oh, that's where that goes. Oh shit.
Well, we were trying to see where the portals went.
I see.
And one of the ones that we tried led to a place where they were speaking the Crescent language, in which had architecture that is Crescent, and I don't know quite where it went, but it could have been a palace.
I see. We have a man in the Crescent Lands who says that there has been a full-scale alert for the last few weeks or the last few days in the palace.
Well, it was certainly not intentional, and they certainly saw where we came from.
Fortunately, they do not seem to have mastered the technique of opening the passages. But I would strongly suggest avoiding opening a passage to there in the near future.
It's not on my to-do list
anymore.
He says, are you prepared for your departure?
She looks around at everybody else like,
let's see if we have a full ship.
See if we have a boat. It's a boat.
Yeah, I hope it is in less pieces than it is.
I
in
assume you're
Settlers Club.
opening the actual portal itself
Yeah.
first, right? Okay. So you do the reverse Roy G. Biv again. And it opens to like the same spot that you saw before. It even looks like there's like a little shard or two of like the canoe that Arthur had been on still floating almost in the same place. And so Runa's like the first one headed through, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she's got the ship.
Okay. So I'm not going to require a roll for it, but she passes through. The water is like strangely heavy as she's swimming in it. Like it feels like it'd be really hard to tread water here for any length of time. And as she goes through, so is she just sort of like trying to crack the glass with her hands, or she using a weapon on it?
Headbutts it.
Her hands probably aren't strong enough to break the glass. So she's gonna take the hilt of the dagger that she keeps and like hold it in her hand and smash it.
Okay. There is a darkness that appears under where she's at that looks like the tentacles of a squid extending in all directions beneath her in the water of the mirror. The water, it's like the whole water of the mirror looks like a glass as she's looking down. Does that make sense? Like she can see what looks like the groundscape, like in this area. Does that make sense? The thing about it though is that as she looks around, she does not actually see the Wachtturm. But she did see the Wachtturm in like Bringersale and other places, and right. She saw the Wachtturm in Valhalla even, but she doesn't see it here. And she's kind of like treading water when she starts to see two things happen at the same time. One is the ship starting to rise from like the ocean floor, like beneath where she broke it, like lifted up by like squidgy black squid tentacles. And then at the same time, she sees a ship cutting towards her across the water, and she realizes they are both the Revenge. Because her mother was aboard a Revenge that arrived.
Yeah.
And there is a Revenge that is now being summoned here by virtue of this artifact that she's used. Does that make sense? And the two just sort of like overlap. She sees the like broken pieces of like the one that's like on the ground, and like the sort of like there's a glow as they touch, and the pieces of the Revenge seem to like merge together. And they become one whole, and then she's suddenly yanked up and out of the water by her cloak, by the shoulder cape that had been made and given to her by Red, that was like the flag of the ship. It like lifts her up enough that she like deposits her on the side of the Revenge, and then like tears free and snaps into place on the mast. And then immediately falls limp because there is no wind at all.
Through the portal, even like she doesn't know if anyone can hear her or not, but she goes, "We have a ship."
I'm totally happy with that being what we call it, dropping the curtain. I'm like, we have a ship.
We have a ship.
And we'll kind of close the camera out of like Runa walking the deck of the ship that she had spent her life on, and recognizing it board for board, shield for shield, oar for oar, is exactly the thing that she was raised by her mother and Gris and Red and Orm and all aboard. And on the cross mast that is at the center of the ship, she sees the rune that Hergé carved so she couldn't spy on her mother any longer.
Bitch.
All right. So that's where we're going to close it. I want 2 role-playing nominations.
Len.
Yeah, Len's Doom heralding the Doom Herald.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
The Doom
Fun
Herald.
opening.
Doom Herald Anonymous.
And Honorine and her nerd girlfriend and sort of nerd boyfriend. I think for that one.
Yeah.
Did you antagonize Crescent Lands?
Jeez.
I mean, it wasn't just me.
Oh,
They,
God.
they were there. They made me do it.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So we'll do
That
those
was
two.
so funny.
The absolute like guilt on your face. It was like as you died laughing.
Well, thank you guys.
All right. All right. Well, if that is it, I'm going to close this out for the night. So thank you for everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, make a comment in the down below. Here at Dirty 20, we always sign out with the same call to action. Be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you're not, be nice. Be nice to strangers, be nice to family, be nice to your loved ones, and be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us. And crossing our fingers, we will see you next week.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.